You're listening to the Electronic Media Collective Podcast Network. Yeah, it's a mouthful. For more great shows like the one you're about to enjoy, visit electronicmediacollective.com. And now, our feature presentation.
This is Randy. In the future, our episodes will be the intro.
This is Melanie, and in the future, I'm going to be a commander of the Space Navy, and I'm going to fight space pirates, and it's going to rock. Thanks, Trump!
And this is Jesse. In the future, family reunions will be held in virtual reality. So those awkward conversations with your creepy uncle, even creepier when you factor in the fact he might actually be attending the reunion in his underwear. We just don't know it.
But, you know, I'd go to everything in my jammies. Everything.
Yeah?
So you would know, because that's all I would ever wear.
Like, I'm in my jammies.
Your avatar would have, your VR avatar would have jammies too, though.
It would. But like, I wore my fancy jammies today.
yeah, you got your dress-up jammies. These are my formal jammies.
Yep.
Like, this is VR. You could be wearing anything. I'm wearing jammies. That's what I want to wear. Virtually and reality. That's why it's virtual reality.
Welcome to the Grawlix Podcast, episode number 72. Brother.
Whoa, that got a gritty reboot at the end.
Yeah, it did. Got a gritty reboot.
Right? Just at the end. Just the two. The two was like, whoa, Zack Snyder cut right there.
Oh, man. Whew. Yep. It's because it was confident.
Mm-hmm.
Or it wasn't
was
confident enough, but that's why the reboot had to come back with more. It had to be darker, grittier, more confident.
Had to go boot a baby.
Reboot a baby.
Yep.
And now that number 2 will get its own little spin-off movie, just like the Joker from the Suicide Squad.
Is that actually happening? What is the deal with that?
As far as I know, yeah.
Now, are we talking? Is this the thing that supposedly Martin Scorsese is attached to, or is that something else?
No, that's happening too. This is what's his name's Joker from the Suicide Squad.
Jared Leto.
Yeah, Jared Leto is going to have his own movie too.
Well, that's because
everybody wanted more of that Joker.
No, I was going to say everybody hated that Joker, so they have to be like,
no.
I
think that's the world I lived in too.
This is why you should like him. We're going to show you now in this other movie. That's what they're doing.
Maybe you should have showed me in the first movie he was in.
I know.
Yeah, when we had less of him, and he still annoyed me.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
What a mess.
Yeah, it's like my life.
Wow.
Your life is like a Jared Leto Joker movie?
That's not a good thing.
Well, I mean,
wow.
Sometimes it's fun.
That's true.
You jumping out of helicopters and killing people with motorcycles or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Getting tattoos on your forehead.
Oh, yeah.
Today, guys, what are we talking about today?
Well, today is our poll list episode.
It is. We're going to talk about Melanie's. This is Melanie's favorite comic book hero.
Mm.
She loves him. Okay, this is who is it now? Okay.
Bury the lead. Anticipation.
It's a poll list episode. So we read a book that was voted on by listeners probably many years ago, but also recently. It got pushed up to the top. And then we're also going to pick the next month's poll list book, which I have a feeling the last I saw will be something Melanie will be happy about.
Mm-hmm.
So first, some in-house news.
Yes.
Last week, a listener, if you're subscribed to us on iTunes or Spotify or any of that, Google Podcasts, do you have an Android device? Say, okay, Google, play the Grawlix podcast. You got to put a hard X in it or else it doesn't catch what it is. And then add that to your podcast app. It'll pull it right up.
Hopefully. Oh, Google's stupid, though.
It's I'm telling you, just put the hard X on it. It'll figure it out.
Okay.
Otherwise,
YouTube will annotate your videos as the Grogs List podcast.
Oh yeah, a lot of times it'll interpret things as Grawlix garlic something, and yeah.
Yeah, the garlic podcast.
The Grog's List. I like that. That should be another spinoff. The Grog's List podcast.
That's what we'll do for Talk Like a Pirate Day. The Grog's
Yeah.
List podcast.
Is that a real thing?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh. Thank you.
Thank you. You got to think the internet.
Oh yeah. That's
You're
a
welcome.
Okay, my point is, listener, if you're subscribed to us, you might have already heard this, but if you're not, so we also have a movie podcast, the Grawlix Cinematic Universe, and last week you can hear Jesse on it.
What?
Yeah.
If you can time travel. Because
That's
this week you can hear
surprising.
last week's episode too. But
Yeah.
What?
I don't know. You said last week you can hear, and I'm like,
Oh, last week you could hear. You could also hear it this week
yes.
from last week.
Right, that's what I was getting. Yeah.
Or next week you could also
It's
listen to
still there.
Yeah, Jesse joined me and Jasper. Normally it's me and Jasper on the show. Jesse joined us to talk about some thrilling movies.
they were thrilling and timely. They were timely. No,
Yeah,
they weren't timely.
we discussed.
Well, they were about a timely topic, but not the timely topic of the movies. What did we talk about?
We discussed there's some movies that had to do with an ant and a wasp woman. I think it was. I don't know, listener. You maybe you've heard of it. Something to do with ants and wasps.
Bugs. It's like Bug's Life, only funnier.
Those sound like some real marvels.
Yep. No, we discussed Ants, a 1977 TV movie, and The Wasp Woman, a 1959 Roger Corman black and white monster flick.
And I am campy, so they brought me in as an expert on camp. Maybe?
Jesse's like our camp counselor of camp.
I like that.
Yeah, I like it too. That was pretty good. So yeah, that's all. You should listen to that after this if you haven't listened.
It was pretty epic. I mean, I don't know if you'll ever watch these movies or if you'll enjoy these movies, but the discussion about these movies pretty intense, pretty epic, pretty bonkers.
I mean, if you are going to watch the movies, start with The Wasp Woman and just see how you feel after that.
Yeah.
Is there any other in-house news? That's the main thing I got. I'm not sure what else is happening the rest of the month.
Did we ever get communications from anyone?
Not
Letters?
recently.
Okay.
No.
All right.
No, Matt D has been busy, and I mean, there has been communications, but he's been busy, and he didn't listen to our last month's regular Grawlix episodes because he had yet to see Infinity War, and those episodes are spoilers.
Well, yeah.
And I feel kind of bad actually now because we give a spoiler warning at the beginning of the bites that we put this month, so he might not have listened to that either if he hasn't seen it. He's got Grawlix Cinematic Universe. He can listen to those.
I know. I just,
We are back on track with our pull list here. So these are all comics that are not about movies.
Yeah, that's true.
Today, anyways.
Interestingly, there were some quotes in this that wound up in a movie.
Right.
There was some stuff was pulled for Man of Steel,
Oh.
for sure.
Well, now you just gave away what we're talking about. Jeez.
Yeah, well, I mean, we announced it last month.
I know. I was kidding.
And it's in the title of this, so.
Yeah, that's true. It's going to be the title of this.
For people who read the episode titles, we are burying the lead.
Okay, so do we want to get to it, I guess?
Well, don't we have to figure out?
Yeah, we have to first announce what we're going to read next.
Well, okay. What are we reading next?
Is that where you were going?
Yeah.
Wow, we are on our game.
We're totally on our game. So if they go to the Grawlix Podcast website, which is grawlixpodcast.com, they can vote on the poll list, and you can even add stuff to the poll list. We've got a pretty good, a healthy stable of things that you can choose from. And currently, what we'll be reading for next month, for August, is Saga with 33% of the vote.
Nice.
Ooh, and since we've already read the first book,
Yeah, first
volume,
First
yes.
volume.
yes, that's what I meant. Then we get to read the second one.
Yeah. We've had Saga. This is the second time Saga popped up on the list.
Saga's so good.
And the second time it's won. And this actually was added not that long ago and shot right to the top. So,
Because it's so good.
yeah. I feel like maybe there was some tampering.
I did not tamper.
I know. I don't think there was tampering. I think people are just like, oh, yeah, okay, Saga.
Because it's so good.
So good.
Yeah, so we're going to read the second volume of Saga. I'm excited. I had not read past what we read last time, even though I said I probably was going to. I did not.
I started reading past because I wasn't sure where it ended, and so this will just I'll get to see where that led.
It'd be interesting to do a follow-up like that at this point, years removed from the first episode where we talked about it.
Yeah, it's
See
going to
if
be
our
fun.
opinions change. Probably not.
Well, no.
It was just because it's good.
It is good. It's always good. It's just so good. And we're going to tell you how good it is next episode.
Right.
Yeah, Melanie hates it.
Yeah. But you know what I love? I love All-Star Superman.
Oh, wow. You should see the look on her face after she said that. Yeah, so this episode, what we're actually talking about is All-Star Superman. That's what was the last month's winner. All-Star Superman was a 12-issue series from DC Comics. It ran from November 2005 to October 2008. Wow, really? So they come out sporadically?
Yeah.
12 issues over a couple years?
Well, it's like a Sandman or something.
Yeah, probably. Written by Grant Morrison, drawn by Frank Quietly, and digitally inked, very obviously digitally inked, by Jamie Grant.
And these three were from We Three, right? Like they're the same creative team.
Oh, yeah. Are they? I think you're right.
I believe so.
Yeah, We Three, which we discussed a while back.
That was great, too.
Yeah?
Yeah. Weaponizing pets.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. And
The future.
DC claimed that this series would, quote, strip down the Man of Steel to his timeless essential elements, end quote.
I don't know about all that.
Okay, so it was released bi-monthly, so I'm assuming meaning since it took so long, every other month or so. Interesting.
Stripped him down to his essentials? I don't know that I feel that.
No? I think I see what they were getting at. I mean, that's obviously they're from their pitch, their selling point, like it's what this series will be. So what this felt like, because Grant Morrison will do this once in a while, he'll take this angle with a character where it's like he's going to, for one, apply his Grant Morrison weirdness to it.
Mm-hmm. Which I enjoy.
But he's also going to like basically homage its roots, like the classic elements. There's a lot of callbacks to just old school Superman things in this. Like the old guy and the robot that at one point had got Lois Lane. That's straight out of like the old, they used to do that in the old 40s cartoons all the time, where it was always some like mad scientist controlling a robot, steal Lois Lane and Superman have to save her. Like he did that nod. So there's a lot of stuff kind of like that.
Except that guy had Alzheimer's.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a dark twist.
Yeah, yeah. What did you guys had either? Okay, I know Melanie, you didn't read this before.
No, I didn't.
But Jesse, have you read this before?
I hadn't, and I'd heard that, like so many of these things that show up on the poll list, I'd heard great things about it, and I even had it in my collection because I knew that I needed to read it. And so when it wins a poll list, that really helps motivate me. But I had picked it up from Jared at One Stop Comics. Actually, I think it was last summer, maybe a year later. Boom, it's on my shelf, and we're reading it.
Yeah, I had not read this before either. There is a DC animated movie based on this.
Oh, I don't know if I would want that.
I've seen
How
it.
do you do
and
that?
From what I recall, is they picked a few things out of this because there's one thing specifically I remember in the movie before I read this that was in the book, and then like nothing else. I don't remember like hardly anything else from the book happening in the movie. So it feels like they just picked maybe a couple plot points out of here, a couple of the feats or whatever
Which
it was.
I suppose I can kind of see how you would do that, because the way that, like, honestly, what I thought about this book and the way that it's laid out, when they say they stripped it down, like I do and I don't agree with that. Basically, the way it feels for me is like modern Doctor Who a little bit, where it's like, okay, we're going to do a couple of episodes that are loosely tied into the big overarching theme, but basically they're just standalones on their own.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then we have a couple 2 or 3 parters. And then there are a couple that tie into what's been happening all season. And then we wrap it up with a huge season finale.
It's very accurate, I would say.
Yeah, no, it totally is. And at one point, I was one of the things that really surprised me coming into this is because at first it's like, okay, this is definitely kind of, because even the first couple of somewhat standalone stories are all tied together, like you said, 2 or 3 parters. But then, like, once I hit the halfway point for sure, I was like, oh, some of these are like straight up one shots, basically.
Yeah.
So I was a little surprised by that, but I didn't mind it. I was like, oh, so that basically they kind of got a limited run series, and they're like, well, we're just gonna, because once you get into the middle of it, it just feels like a normal comic series. It doesn't necessarily feel like a strict miniseries does, because it does go on these little tangents, kind of, and it'll do a little flashback. There's a flashback type thing, but even the flashback thing tied into, they're all relevant in a way. They're loosely tied into.
Except for Jimmy Olsen. No, that was relevant too. Because you get to see more of Project, and there's some nods there. But at the same time, it's like, what? Why has he got his own episode in this thing?
And I like the tone on that. Well, and that ties in also to like stripping it back to his essentials. It's homaging old school Superman. His pal Jimmy Olsen. Jimmy Olsen had his own comic book series at several points in time.
And who's that dude that is always cracking on Clark Kent? I don't even know who he is.
That worked at the Planet?
Sports guy.
Oh, is it? Yeah, I don't know. I was not familiar.
I forget what his name is offhand, but that's basically his whole shtick. Cat Grant is always like, commenting on how hot Superman is or how hot Clark is or whatever. And then he's always Mr. Machismo.
Yeah, he's a weird character.
Yeah, he is.
So the basic outline of this thing, it opens and Superman is rescuing Dr. Quinto. He's rescuing these people from the solar expedition they're doing. And in doing so, he exposes his cells to too much sun, while at the same time it's made him smarter and more curious and stronger than he's ever been, and all these other things. But at the same time, it's also killing him and basically give him sun cancer. And his cells are dying off from sun overload. And then real kind of lazy like introduction to like this. The series has this framing device kind of, or this structure device that is kind of lazily introduced through what I felt was the worst installment of it. But this future guy, I don't remember his name, basically told him like, you've done, you're going to die soon, but you do these things. And so pretty much each issue is him doing these things, but he's got to make sure he can accomplish these things before he dies. And yeah, that's the book.
So it's like Superman's bucket list.
It's basically Superman's bucket list.
And we all know how great that movie was.
I've never watched it.
Me either.
Nope.
So, okay.
With a trifecta of people commenting on a movie that they've never seen.
I liked it. I like this.
I don't know.
You don't know?
I don't hate it, but I didn't like it either. I like Grant Morrison in general, but this just seemed like sloppy or something.
You seem very confused by parts of it that I don't understand why.
I wasn't necessarily confused. I just didn't understand why it was there and how it affected anything in the book, because it didn't seem like it did. It's like they just tossed some crap on there to have some crap there.
Okay.
Well, that was part of it. And there were some times that I thought it contradicted itself, but that could be inaccurate too. Like Superman from the future was there, but Superman died.
It wasn't Superman from the future, though.
No, it was Superman from the future. That's why he had to wrap himself up, so that current Superman would know that was Superman of him from the future, which was in the future of the book.
It was like Superman from the present of the book went back in time to the Smallville flashback.
But I thought he was from 20-something AD. Am I wrong?
I think he was from the...
That was his costume. He was the quote-unquote unknown Superman, but he was actually just the Superman we'd been reading about.
I'm gonna check on that. That seems inaccurate.
Yeah, Melanie had these weird issues with it. There's some stuff in it I didn't really care for, and it's the stuff that I also didn't care for in the movie, the animated movie that I saw. I love the setup of Lois getting her birthday present, her weird paranoid...
Oh, man, yeah.
The whole thing. I thought that was great. And then it just got, like, that whole issue just gets thrown away with one, like, little, like, oh, yeah, no, You were exposed to this that causes paranoid delusions and this and that. And I was like, oh, okay. But he gives her like a 24-hour super stuff. So she has powers like he does. And that just definitely does not get used like I expected it would.
Right.
Okay, I think I was confusing him with the other guy. Still, I don't like it. Why? Why are there 5,000 freaking Supermans in the freaking book?
Well, it's Grant Morrison.
I don't know, but I like Grant Morrison in general. Maybe my problem is that one Superman is kind of too much for me sometimes. So like a dozen Supermans is really hard for me to handle.
But they're not in it that much.
Well, there's several of them from all over the place, though. There's future ones. There's Bizarro World ones.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
There's a
just
Mitzelplick ones. Yeah.
Yeah, I forgot about the whole Bizarro thing. There's like a world of Superman, basically. I forgot about that.
I can see that.
Zabaro.
That little bit being, Zabaro. You know, like Bizarro comics, I like them, but they are so hard to read. And when you have multiple issues of it, it's just like, oh, I am done with this. Can we leave now? Like, I get it, but like, it's hard for me to read this and flip it for too darn long.
There's definitely stuff, and like in the Bizarro World issues, I like the setup of that. I love the weird Grant Morrison concept around where this place come from. I love the underverse.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And where time itself is like freezes to a solid or something like that. Just this weird concepts. There's lots of that throughout this. I loved it. And anytime they go to Dr. Quinto and his Technicolor Dream Petticoat or whatever, anytime they go to him, like just the weird, like just thrown out there lines of like, oh, we've been doing this over here and this over here and this over here. And it's always like the most bizarre, like very Grant Morrison, hyper beyond science fiction, like just drugged out science fiction concepts, you know, just weird things. I love that stuff.
He definitely writes characters that are abrasive so well, because I just want to punch a lot of these people. You know, like Quinto sometimes. He's generally benevolent, but I kind of want to punch him sometimes. Lex Luthor, definitely want to punch that guy. And, I mean, you're supposed to want to, but anyways. And then, like, when we have other Kryptonians show up, kind of want to punch them. Even the mayor of Bizarro Town, kind of want to punch him.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, no, yeah. I wanted to punch Lois Lane.
Yeah. And
she was frustrating.
Dude bro Jimmy Olsen, when he becomes like he gets all this power, he's like, we really shouldn't do this, but I need to go toe to toe against Superman, so I'm gonna become Doomsday, but I'm kind of a dude bro.
Yeah. It's almost easier to like, so there's the overarching thing, but it's almost easier to break this into like it's either individual issues or arcs or whatever. And just kind of talk about a couple of those that we liked, I think. What were your favorite stories in this? Your favorite installments? I'll start, I guess. I really liked, surprisingly, I really liked the Lex Luthor one. The Lex Luthor story with Clark Kent in the, that's one thing I'm sidetracking myself. That's one thing I really appreciated about this is how he handles Clark Kent. Because it seems like, at least in the stuff that I've read, which is admittedly not a lot, but you know, a lot of the Justice League or Superman or Action Comics, you don't actually get a lot of like old school bumbling Clark Kent. You get Superman, and you get just Clark Kent being regular Superman Clark Kent, I guess. But you get the super bumbling Clark Kent, the old school, like nerdy, big oaf. And I think between the artwork, especially in the artwork, Frank Quitely's artwork, but also like the writing and stuff, it's just I like how it's handled here, to where he is obviously bumbling and awkward, but then every time he bumbles, it's usually to save somebody and done in a way so that like people watching don't notice that he's actually saving people. They just think he's being an oaf.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I really like that issue in particular too, because it's I also like in how they deal with Clark Kent. What I really enjoy about it is like, yeah, nobody knows he's Superman. And even when he flat out tells people he's Superman, Lois spends a better part of that first issue or 2 issues or whatever. But what about the time where Well, that was Batman. What about the time when, like she just isn't sold that he's Superman, even though he's flat out told her, she's just convinced this is another Superman trick.
It almost seems like she never buys that he was Clark Kent.
And Lex just doesn't even notice. He can't be bothered to notice that crap.
No, like Lex kind of likes Clark Kent because Clark Kent is the human embodiment of everything Superman's not.
Right.
The embodiment of everything that makes humans humans, although he would hate those humans, though.
Right.
I really liked the Lex Luthor issue because I like the go-between between Clark Kent and Lex Luthor, and I like the fact that no, Lex Luthor really is just completely stuck on hating Superman.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Just blindly stuck on hating Superman. Oh, and the eyebrow thing.
That was great.
You don't remember, Melanie?
Yeah, I remember the eyebrow thing.
He takes Clark I even like that he made an escape route just to show I can get out of here anytime I want. But he takes Clark Kent down through there and introduces him to it's his niece or something, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she's like, eyebrow, Lexi, eyebrow. And at first I was thrown, and then he hides his face and then comes back and he's drawn on crudely an eyebrow that he was missing. And I didn't even notice, but yeah, if you flip back a couple pages, he was missing the eyebrow, and I don't remember where it, at what point it disappeared. But it's awesome. All crazy and obviously drawn on. But while he's doing it, he says, what are you looking at, Kent? And he's like, oh, nothing. I can't see anything. I don't have my glasses or something like that. It's just, I don't know. It's a good moment. It's funny, and I was not expecting it.
Maybe I didn't. Maybe I missed that.
Yeah, you slept through parts of this. I think you slept through big parts of this.
Well, that's toward the end, though, so I should have been awake.
That's in the middle.
Well, okay, when I left the house, I was only on the 4th episode, or issue.
Yeah, you missed what, to me, were memorable parts, but maybe you just weren't keen on it,
Well, that could be. Maybe I went on into it with a bad attitude or something. I still didn't like it, though.
I was unsure of how this was going to strike you, because on the one hand, it's Superman,
mm-hmm.
and it does call back to some of the some of the cheesier elements of Superman.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, it's Grant Morrison, and there's a lot of weird Grant Morrison stuff in it.
I know, but I like looking through it. I can't even find an issue that I could say I liked more than the others because I didn't really like any of them.
Really?
So I changed my mind. I didn't like it.
That's fine. You don't have to like it.
Okay, good.
Jesse, what was your favorite bits?
Aside from the Lex Luthor stuff and the Clark Kent stuff, I did like the concept of a Bizarro that's a Bizarro. Zibaro.
Yeah.
He's like, I wrote this poetry. I'm like, he understands beauty and all this stuff, and they just hate him. They're just jerks, super big bullies about it.
They were jerks and bullies, and they'd make fun of him. I thought that was kind of funny. But also, Zibaro ends up getting annoying because he's just so did you read my poetry? Have you read it? You didn't read it, did you? It's come on.
You went from being the normal Bizarro to the emo Bizarro.
Yeah, he really does. He does, yeah, for sure.
But then again, Superman does the thing that he does several times in this thing. And he's like, oh, well, if I get a chance to save you, I'll save you. But got to go worry about myself right now.
Dude, I must say, okay, so Superman went back and righted some of his wrongs, finally figured out some type of solution for the bottle city of Kandor.
That was crazy. I do appreciate some of that because it's okay, Grant Morrison just was oh, here's how it should have ended. Boom. That whole web series on YouTube, how it should have ended. It was oh, why did Superman never figure out that they're just fine? Just let them not be in a bottle.
Yeah, exactly.
Just so they're on a different planet. Boom, done. Mm-hmm. Problem solved.
Melanie, you're right in that Superman is a jerk to Zibaro.
Yeah.
Because it's, even while reading it, I'm like, he's not coming back for you, dude. He just wants out of there, and he needs out of there quick, and you're boned, buddy. I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
So that was kind of a jerk thing to do.
And I guess he saved the bottle people, but didn't he do something to that one couple? He did the weird glass plane or something.
Well,
the Phantom Zone, yeah.
Yeah.
They were dying, though.
Mm-hmm.
He kind of saved them by sending
that was his way to save them from just totally just straight out dying. But also, they were jerks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They were jerks, and he, what he did do was still to them anyway, like a kindness.
Or he could have just had his little people go in and take all the cancer out of them, like, they tried to do for him, but probably would have worked for those other people.
Yeah, he didn't figure that out until later, though.
Yeah.
Convenient, huh?
Yeah, no doubt. I don't know. There was a lot of little things that I liked about it, and then there were other things that I was like, well, that wrapped up pretty fast. Like Jimmy Olsen is Doomsday for what, 2 pages?
Yeah.
3 pages maybe. I don't know. And then he's just Jimmy Olsen again. Only he gets to write things on the moon like Chairface Chippendale.
That's true. Yep.
I don't know. I don't follow Superman, so I don't know when he got a magic watch that makes him capable of doing all these special things. But that was kind of annoying to me.
It's not really a magic watch. It's just it summons Superman
and blimps and other random things.
The blimps he called in a favor from somebody
with his magic watch.
Was it? It's a smartwatch. He's a hacker. Like they played up the like Jimmy Olsen can hack any firewall. They play up the hacker thing, which I think is, I don't know when that started. Obviously, at some point, I'm guessing maybe
they had to make him useful for something. Yeah, you can't just take pictures forever.
But that's something I've noticed in modern comics too. That when he's in there, which is not very often, he's like a computer whiz guy now.
I don't see why you can't take pictures forever. Lois just gets to be a rude, bad word forever.
Melanie, she's a strong woman.
There's lots of strong women that aren't rude and pushy.
That's Lois though. She is pushy. She's the what can I say? I can't say anything that's not like kind of a sexist holdover from the 40s. Yeah, she's a firecracker, that one. But yeah, she's a fiery investigative reporter. She's nosy reporter.
Yeah.
If anything, that's what I missed about Lois Lane in these most recent movies. It's like I can't remember what's her name that plays Lois in Man of Steel and
Amy Adams.
Yes, I'm just not sold on her as Lois Lane.
But she went to some scary country to get an interview.
Yeah, that's the most Lois Lane thing she did, and it was in the opening scenes of the second movie.
And only because maybe not only, but
they cut half of it.
And it resulted in Jimmy Olsen getting shot in the face.
Yeah.
And a bunch Superman killing some people.
Right.
Or at least the one guy, which they say he didn't actually kill, but I don't care. You throw a normal human through a brick wall at like light speed.
It liquefies
he's
him.
Done. Yeah, he's done.
There's no physics in comic book world.
That's the one thing, like reading this, like it strikes me, there's certain things that I accept and I'm fine with. And I'm like, yeah, even though it's ridiculous and it's not only comic book logic, but it's sci-fi logic, but also like Grant Morrison sci-fi logic, and I can buy it.
Right.
But then there's other aspects where I'm like, that doesn't make sense to me. I don't buy it. The whole Bizarro world, period. Like, why Bizarro world in itself doesn't make sense. Why would the world like then create a bunch of Superman Bizarros specifically? It's so strange.
Well, they explained that. I mean, not that the Bizarro world makes sense, but if you thought it did, it said that it was making Superman because he was there, and it was like,
oh, he was the first one they come across, huh?
Well, they were trying to copy him so that they could get to him so he could feel comfortable because there are more hymns, and there's like, antibodies or something pretending to be.
I did like the idea of this planet that was mimicking Earth so that it could like sneak up and like assimilate it. Just the idea that it was like looking like Earth to be like, I'm just like you, don't be alarmed. Like it's an organism. I thought that was great.
Yeah, but that's especially kind of awesome if you consider that it's Bizarro World, so it's a little dumb.
It's a cube.
But it thinks that would be a normal thing to happen in the first place.
Yep. Yeah, I like the opening. I'm assuming it was an issue, but I like the opening of that one specifically because you don't know what's going on. It's just like Superman's flying. And I figured it out later, but he went and let the Sun Eater creature go. But the way I first read it was like he was just flying through space, then he comes across this like weird black tentacled thing, and he's like, huh. And then he flies off, and then all of a sudden these like weird blobby gray men are flying at him, and he's fighting them off. And I'm like, is that what it's like with Superman? You just fly around and come across weirdness and creepy creatures attack you, but they both actually make sense now. It wasn't just random. I also like that the sun creature. Where he like was attached to it. Oh, that was another thing where my mind was just like, what? He's telling her about the sun eater, and she's like, what do you feed it? He's like, suns, of course. I make them right here on my my what is it called? The
something anvil, like a something
cosmic anvil. I was like, what? But I kind of love that. We don't all have to love this book. Melanie, so you did not have favorite things to talk about. What are some of your criticisms of this?
Besides the fact that there's too many Supermans?
Besides the fact that there's too many Supermans.
I didn't care for Lois, but I never really have, honestly. I didn't like, maybe I don't read Superman, so I don't know. Maybe they're important in more current things, but I didn't like Lex Luthor's niece, and I didn't understand why she was necessary, and I just thought that was dumb to have her there at all.
I feel like the niece thing was kind of an amusing joke. Like the joke is, she's going to take over the world someday, and she's evil, but she's whatever. But also, Grant Morrison just likes to have, punky characters in his stories.
I also felt like she was a pastiche to like the campy underlings that like Lex Luthor would have in the Superman movies, maybe. I mean, I could be wrong about that, but seems like there was always some kind of, just kind of dopey in a sense. And she's not dopey, like she's sort of smart, or she has some like intelligence or whatnot to her, but she's more like gimmicky than anything. She's like super emo, super genius villain wannabe in training.
They are now mowing right by my windows, so listener, if you hear weird sounds, I'm sorry. Podedit.com aside, I cannot remove certain things like a strange sounding lawnmower probably 7 feet away from the microphone.
Maybe less than that even.
Less than that? Yeah, it's like right outside the window.
Ugh.
Well, Melanie, you didn't really care for this.
No.
And Jesse, you said you did like it, but the impression was I get from both of you guys that you guys do not agree with the general praise that this book gets.
Yeah.
Like some people consider it the best Superman stories.
I'm okay with it getting praise. I think it's a good work overall, but I get this impression that a lot of people think that if you're going to, try to steer modern readers towards Superman, that this is the book you'd give them. And I don't agree with that summation.
I wouldn't agree that this is the greatest Superman story, because it's made up of Superman tropes and homages to Superman stuff. And it's hard to say like that's the greatest Superman story, because it's a lot of homages to other Superman stories.
So how can it be the greatest story when it's not even like original type stuff? Is that what you're saying?
There's original ideas in it, but yeah, I don't know. It just feels, I don't know, that
so maybe
seems
this is a work, maybe this is a work for true Superman fans. And the reason I'm not getting totally on board with it is I'm not like a huge Superman fan. I'm like a fair weather fan, maybe. There are some good Superman stories out there that I really enjoy, but I can't say that I was ever like someone who subscribed and bought every issue for long periods of time. So that's the kind of reader I am of Superman. And so maybe this isn't for me. Maybe this is for the people who really, quote unquote, get Superman.
I enjoyed this quite a lot, but I think I enjoyed it for the Grant Morrison isms. Okay. Would you guys recommend this? Wow, this conversation is something, man. It's something. Melanie,
review our review.
Who would you recommend this to?
People who like Superman.
Really? Okay. You would recommend it to people that like Superman then?
Yeah. Yeah, I would. They'd have to. I mean, I don't care for Superman myself.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think any of us are like super fond of him.
We're not super fans?
No, we're not super fans. If someone was a big Superman fan, they'd probably love it. They'd probably eat it up. So have fun with that, you guys.
Okay.
Yeah. It's got some great Lex Luthor moments in it. So I'd say anybody that really digs that dynamic, that really likes that back and forth between them, there's some pretty solid moments in here. So yeah, again, I guess you got to be a Superman fan.
I would recommend this to Not all, but most readers. I think if you're a Superman fan and you haven't read it, you should definitely read it. I think if you're a Grant Morrison fan and you haven't read it, you should definitely read it. I think if you're a general comic book reader, I still say you should read it. I think it's interesting. Melanie, you didn't like it, but I think it would still appeal to a lot of people.
I would say everybody should read everything because the more you know, that's great. You should. But if I was like, oh, you really need to read this, trying to convince somebody to come and become a comic book aficionado, they'd have to really like Superman for me to point them here. Otherwise, I'd send them to some other stuff.
Yeah.
Well, and this was Superman at his like most powerful and least powerful at the same time, and that's a really bizarre. Superman's a bizarre character to wrap your head around, anyways, because of how powerful he is. But then make him even more powerful and give him like additional abilities that are and are not fleshed out at all.
Yeah, like how? Okay, when he went to die, I have this question real quick. Okay, his cells are dying off or something maybe, but then he's going to die by turning into pure energy. But that's not dying. That's turning into Mr. Manhattan, which is like better than Superman even. So except he's blue.
But who watches? Who watches him?
Who watches the Superman?
Who watches the Superman? Lois Lane. She sits on a bench. And she's just in denial nonstop. Like, no, he's not dead. Yeah. He's not dead. I'm just waiting. I'm just watching for the Watchman.
He
Superman.
ascended.
He ascended.
Okay, so I want to read one of my favorite parts. Melanie had no reaction to this after I sent her this message, but I sent her a screenshot of this. It's towards the very beginning. It's like just a couple of pages in when Superman's first going to save these people on the little sun spaceship. Mm-hmm. Because not only are they going to crash into the sun or something, but Luthor has some type of genetically modified human mutant suicide bomber on there who's about to explode. And Superman's trying to pull him out of there so he doesn't explode and kill them. And the guy says, and I really like this. The guy says, that's about to explode, the purpose of my existence is to explode. You have no right. You have no right to limit my ambitions, fascist. No right at all to stand in the way of my self-realization. I just love that. I thought that was funny.
No, it was funny. I liked it too.
I was a little worried because there's that Dr. Quint, like one of the first panels, has just a terrible line. I was like, uh-oh, what's this? What's the tone of this? About fear is the sauce on the steak of life. I was like, oh. Yeah. But it really doesn't take that extremely super cheesy tone. I mean, it's a little cheesy, but
that guy always kind of felt like the what do you call him? The albino guy from Venture Brothers.
Really?
Yeah, he had that feel for me, and I can see that guy saying that in like a monotone thing. Anyway, so
this guy
okay to me.
Does seem like he's out of He's straight out of Venture Brothers.
Yeah,
he is very much an exaggerated. He's like a Grant Morrison exaggerated take on who is it, Mr. Fantastic or whatever? Fantastic
like
Four?
A Reed Richards type.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Reed Richards.
Yeah.
And at first, that's kind of what I was like. Who's these people? Because the one guy started like mutating, but I thought it was going to be kind of a riff on Fantastic Four, but that's not the case. Mm. Art. Let's talk about art real quick. I don't think we actually got a hit on that. I know the review's like over, but Frank Quietly's style is strange. I think for the most part it looks good. I think the panel layouts are interesting. The faces are a little strange to me. That's I think where the strangeness is. My biggest criticism of it is technically the coloring is fantastic, but at the same time extremely ugly to me. A super heavy reliance on digital gradients, I think, does not necessarily. It doesn't look great to me. This is super digital looking in the coloring. I mean, on the one hand, like technically it looks great, but on the other hand, like aesthetically, it's just not. It's upsetting to my eye.
Like that one guy's Technicolor coat thing is just too perfectly Technicolored, like as if you actually had a.
It's totally a Photoshop gradient of like these colors. Yeah. And I feel like comics, like I know a lot of people still digitally color the comics, but I feel like people have figured out how to make it look more organic.
Yeah, the brushes
still-
have evolved quite a bit, whereas that's a very common technique that people were using, which was to just take a gradient and then they would just almost like a cell shading type of technique where they would erase out the bits they don't like, but you're leaving a gradient in there instead of adjusting your colors on the fly like you would with an actual brush.
I realized I have another criticism too.
We have another criticism.
Yes.
Okay.
Why are female villains always drawn like? Because it's bothersome to me.
Who's the villain? Who's the female villain? Oh, is it the niece? Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. That's a kind of a comic book issue.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe they need to break out of the box and make a big fat comic book villain that's still attractive and not sexualized and not wearing a bustier and some freaking thigh-high boots.
Yeah.
Try that out once in a while.
I mean, that one.
Oh, like that one mean lady from Argus. That lady. She's okay if she was the villain.
Amanda Waller.
Yeah.
Okay.
In the comic book, though, not the real.
In the comics.
Yeah.
And kind of like that. I mean, that's kind of one of the good things about one of the few good things about Suicide Squad movie, right? Like,
right.
The Amanda Waller casting was pretty good.
Yeah. Well, and they wrote her well. I mean, like, she was one of the few parts of the movie that was kind of a slam dunk.
Mm-hmm. But before then, they had started making her like much younger and attractive looking.
Yeah, I know.
Which I don't understand why, but
because they do it to everybody.
Yeah.
Well, Amanda Waller in the Arrow show, she's nothing like the Amanda Waller from the comics.
She's almost like some hip, young, attractive CW actor.
Right.
Do we want to do TV talk or?
I feel like we'd just be all over the place.
Yeah.
And we'd be competing with the Weed Whacker, it sounds like now.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on out there. This episode's going to be a mess sonically. And
Sorry.
It's not your fault.
Sonically.
Sonically and conceptually.
Sonic screwdrivers.
Doctor Who.
They'd be able to fix everything.
When's Doctor Who coming? It's in the fall, isn't it? God, it needs to get here.
I don't know. I'm scared for it.
I'm watching Broadchurch.
Broadchurch, yeah. So as season 1, you're like, oh, it's going to be brilliant. Season 2, you're like, oh.
I don't know if watching Broadchurch has made. On one hand, especially season 1, I did feel better. I was like, this is obviously not any kind of tone they're going to take with Doctor Who,
right?
But like, just everybody, like the cast, everybody was great, and it was so well made. Season 2's not bad, but it's a little bit more generic. So like, at least they got quality people in there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So if she can act her butt off of some skin eyeball crusties, then...
Well, the showrunner...
Isn't that who it is? The eyeball crust guy?
No.
No, Mark Gatiss. Okay. No.
Although,
thankfully not him, no.
Chibnall has written some episodes in the Who-universe.
Mm-hmm. Oh, the countdowns, that's right. Right?
He is the guy that likes the countdowns, isn't he?
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of like any of the episodes actually he's written in the past, but for Doctor Who,
right?
That I can think of, because he did The Power of Three, and that episode was kind of a mess.
Oh God, yeah, it
with
was.
the cubes.
Yeah,
like it's interesting idea, but then it just like
there's fun moments,
mess.
but like the episode as a whole is like, what were you going for? I don't even know.
Exactly. What were you going for is perfect. Yeah. Because it just did not come, whatever you were going for, it kind of did not come together. Mm-hmm. And then he did the Torchwood episode with the female, it was Cyberwoman, I think was the name of it.
Oh yeah. Sexualizing Cybermen.
Yeah. It was a little weird. I don't know as to the quality of writer he is, but maybe he's better as a showrunner. Like, whereas like the Moffat is, I think, a better writer.
Yeah, when he has time and editors.
When he has time and yeah, exactly. When he has supervision, but maybe not the best supervisor.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, maybe that's the case with Chibnall. I don't know.
Let's hope so.
This time next year, we're gonna hate him. We're gonna be complaining about him on an episode of Grawlix podcast.
Who was the guy? Well, yeah, I guess we did complain about the guy before. Maybe not, but not so much.
I don't think we were doing
Russell T Davies. We weren't actively.
Yeah, it was,
I mean, like he had already gone on. Matt Smith was well into his era when we started.
By the time we started Grawlix, so
well,
I would have had complaints about Russell T Davies too.
Oh, yeah.
There's some rough,
There's some tough stuff
especially the first couple seasons. There's some rough episodes
with the cactus people and the end of time in general.
Ooh. The Sims master turning everyone in the world into him. The farting aliens in season 1.
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah, there's some rough stuff.
Yeah. Well, they didn't have a budget to work with back then.
So they had to write farting aliens.
Yep, it's the best they could get anybody to do for peanuts and bubble gum.
That's how they. Peanuts and bubble gum.
Listen, this is the BBC. We pay you in bubble gum. Get ready.
Well, they already spent all their budget on other things.
There's iffy episodes of every Doctor Who era, though.
Oh, for
Yeah.
sure.
Some more than others. Like, obviously, if the show was crap, we wouldn't still be talking about it. I like it. I like it a lot. So,
Was it JNT is credited with one of the best stories of all time, at least voted on by fans, and yet he's the guy that ruined Doctor Who. Ultimately, he's the one that kind of caused it to get canceled in the first place.
oh yeah, back in the day, yeah.
Yeah, and I was gonna say you have to love Doctor Who now. You put too much time and energy into it.
I put a lot of hours into it. I rewatched a third Doctor adventure not long ago.
Mm-hmm.
It was one of the Auton ones. And listen, I enjoyed it. The Master, not the brightest crayon in the box at that point in time.
At any point,
Well, that was
Because-
probably his first one, wasn't it? Was that his first? If it's the
don't-
Autons and the Master, I think that's his very first appearance.
Was it? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So, I don't know. It'd been a while since I watched through all of them. And I guess it introduces him, like it gives him an introduction kind of who he is, but like he's just so like there, and the Doctor's like, oh, the Master, huh? So like I kind of thought, oh, he's already been introduced, but no, you're probably right. But here's the thing. So the joke with the Master is he always gets these like, he helps some other threat force to invade Earth, and his idea is what, like, they're gonna invade Earth, and then the Master's gonna take them over somehow or something. But then he's always like, wait, this was a bad idea.
Yeah.
In this first one, it is like ridiculous. The first time I watched it, it didn't even strike me as this ridiculous. It's literally like his plan is working. Like this, what he's worked this whole, like his entire plan, it's working. The Nestine consciousnesses, they're coming down into the satellites. Like
Right.
this was his entire plan. And then it's happening, and the Doctor's like, "Do you really think they're gonna let you live too?" And he's like, "You're right. We need to stop this." And it's like,
That's
Yeah.
how quick he flips. Yeah. And
like
then-
that. There's
yeah.
like no reason for it other than it's like, yeah. Did you not think of that?
Well, that's the thing, though. He's done it so many times. Obviously, he doesn't really think.
He's just
Because
doing things.
He would remember maybe that this has happened like 40 times prior to this, and I shouldn't do this thing
Uh-huh.
the same way. No, but no,
Yeah,
he
that
doesn't think.
the flip is so fast, and it doesn't make sense. It's like, why would you do any of this then? Like you knew this was what was going to happen.
And he's insane anyway.
That's true.
I don't know. Maybe Doctor Who did it to him in their time tube with some drums, but
The sound of
Something's wrong
drums,
with him.
We should have talked about Doctor Who this episode.
Yeah, it might have
We
gone
just
a little
did.
better. Yeah.
It's true. All right. Yeah. Okay. I know. I'm sorry. I don't know how this episode will come across, but that's what we got.
it'll come across as awkward and fun, just like us.
Yes, all the time, awkward and fun.
Yep.
Letters page. I don't believe we have any letters right now, but if you, listener, want to send us a letter, send us an email, or record yourself capture your vocal likeness in an MP3 and send it our way, you can do so at letters@grawlixpodcast.com. It's GRAWLIX, grawlixpodcast.com. You can also send us leave a voicemail, add a phone number. I don't remember offhand. Something for comics. Something. I don't. I'll just cut it in.
Or something complaining, and then you have another number that you use. It's like 8432 or
Yeah, there's like the full number and then the something for comics.
we need to just have it pre-recorded like 432 and like
Which sounds all rough.
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
Like a computer.
Or I'll
voice.
even get like automated voice. Yeah, like an automated voice. Like if it
Yeah.
was a Okay, I'll do it. I'll make that happen.
You need to have certain words that we just say in a weird way once and record it, and then every time it comes up, you just play that. It's like, like one of the little push button things.
Okay, here we go.
A soundboard.
5,
5,
9,
4,
2,
6,
6,
4,
2,
7,
5,
5.
9,
4.
Comics.
Italian. Sorry.
comics.
Fun of me now. I think they were Italian.
What was it?
Alias.
Alias. Yeah, some alias. Hey, have you seen that crazy sci-fi movie Aliens?
It's a good one.
Hey everybody, it's DJ Johnny Rock, and I want to let you guys know you got to tune into this great podcast on the EMC Podcast Network. It's called Doctor Who Dark Journey. It's one of my favorite audio dramas. In fact, I'm here with the writer, creator, and star of Doctor Who Dark Journey, Andrew Chompers. Yo, what's up?
I'm fine, thank you. It's a pleasure to be here with
Hey,
you.
I hope you don't mind. I came to visit your work, and is that cool? Is that all right?
Yeah, well,
You got time, right?
yeah, well, I do now. Yeah, I'm basically imprisoned, but I'm fine.
Yeah, so I wanted to say, you know what? Thank you for everything that you do for Doctor Who and for fandom and bringing together Doctor Who and Sherlock Holmes. I love it. I love your audio drama. Can I be in the next one?
We can discuss that at a later date.
And Neil, too. He wants like a small part.
Well,
He can be like a guy on the street or something who shouts out, "Hey, Doctor Who!" or whatever.
it's the doctor.
Hey, Doctor Who!
He wouldn't shout out,
Stop
"Doctor."
stealing the money with the sonic screwdriver. Remember when you did that? You put the sonic
Yeah,
screwdriver and
but
all
that
the
was-
money
First of all, he's
shot
called
out.
He's called the Doctor. He's not called Doctor Who. So he would be he would shout
Wow.
out the Doctor.
I've seen the War
Stop
Machine, so
Stop.
I have to disagree.
Yeah,
with
well,
that.
I know, but he's not. That's we
Not
classify
Doctor
that
Who.
as
That's what they say, right?
an anomaly. Yeah, but that's normally we do that. We call it the Doctor.
So you're the Dark Journey
Yeah.
Doctor, right?
Yeah,
Okay. Tricky is a hard question for you. Okay.
yeah.
Peter Cushing or Rowan Atkinson, favorite Doctor?
I would
Pick. I know it's hard.
Yeah, well, I would probably say Vincent Price.
I don't think I saw any of his. Were they in black and white?
Yeah, they had a stake.
Did they find those in Africa? They were after
They
those?
got those. They were actually
the missing
found
tapes?
in Aberdeen, Scotland.
Really?
Yeah,
Hmm.
it was very, very good. There was just a crate of them lying there, and they thought it was filled with shortbread.
Yeah.
And they just went to get a wee bit of shortbread, and they
Yeah.
found all these episodes, which was nice. Yeah.
Are they going to colorize them?
I don't like to bring race into this,
Okay. Yeah.
but I would hope so eventually. Yeah, but you got to be careful these days. You
No,
never
you
know
don't want to do anything. Yeah.
No, you don't want to do anything too controversial, so we just burned them.
Okay. So good. That's it. You know, Neil and I sometimes do the same thing with
Yeah.
drinking in the park, which also airs on the EMC Podcast
It
Network.
does, and I love that show.
You do?
I love it. You know why I love that show?
Why do you love it?
Because I'm not really on it, so I don't get accosted like this.
You have to go back to work now?
Yeah, and would you not mention the fact that I have to work? I'm kind of creating this thing that I'm an actor.
Oh, right. Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
you know.
Do you have to go back into your trailer now, Mr. Chompers?
Yeah, I do.
I think I hear makeup calling for you.
That's the manager of the dollar store, but I just
Mr. Chompers, the makeup!
that's
That was them,
Yeah,
totally.
because I'm doing
Yeah,
a lot of
you should
I'm
go
doing
and-
a lot of touring and
yeah.
and stuff like that.
Are you going to
so,
be in the EMC parade next week?
the
Christmas parade?
I'm going to be in the parade.
Nice.
Well, maybe I have to work nights in the warehouse, but
Don't. You're
no,
killing
but I
the
can still.
illusion.
I know what I can still do it.
What are you doing?
I don't know. I'll just fall in. So
It's a good idea.
it's gonna be
I
good.
do that all the time.
It's
When
gonna
I gotta
be
do
good.
something important,
Yeah.
or I have like something I don't feel like going to work, I just phone in sick. I'm like, forget it.
Yeah,
Forget it. Oh, I think my kidney hurts.
something like that. That reminds me. Neil said you're looking for a job at the moment.
Yeah, I am.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
and the new kidney.
Yeah,
The guy being available.
and a new kidney. Well, I told you, don't drive around Markham. You know what I mean?
Okay.
There's a lot of traffickers there.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
So thanks for listening to the EMC Podcast Network. Be
Always a
sure
pleasure.
to check out. Not you.
Oh, okay.
Be sure to check out Doctor Who Dark Journey
Yeah.
Only-
Dark Journey.
on the EM. What are you doing?
I'm just doing a little bit of your
What do you
shtick,
mean?
You know,
What shtick?
DJ Johnny Rock, Doctor Who, Dark Journey.
It's not shtick. That's
No,
me.
I sound a bit German.
Check out Doctor Who Dark Journey. Right on.
Right on. Check out Doctor Who, Dark Journey
I just said that.
Okay.
I just
okay.
said that.
What he said.
EMC.
EMC. Squared. It's like the formula.
Yeah, but
E equals MC?
I don't think they're doing. I don't think they're marketing.
So I
it that
didn't. I
way.
should have said that.
No, you shouldn't have said
I'm
that.
sorry.
No, you're making a lot of work for these guys.
I'm making a lot.
They're working hard, putting out our podcasts every week and pumping them out and stuff.
I'm
the artwork, and then you're misquoting the brand.
Like
you don't know what the brand
I know.
is.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yeah,
It's okay.
I really pity the person who's going to edit this.
Good luck with that.
Yeah, exactly. It's a nightmare.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is Randy. Grawlix the Polarity.
This is Jesse. It all fits somehow. His coming here to Metropolis at this particular time, there's a kind of cruel justice about it. I mean, to commit the Grawlix of the century, a man naturally wants to face the challenge of the century.
I'm Melanie. Grawlix! Kelly Clarkson.
Thank you for listening to the Grawlix Podcast. The Grawlix Podcast is a production of the Electronic Media Collective and Vorpal Arrow Studios. For more Grawlix Podcast, visit grawlixpodcast.com. Like us on Facebook at facebook.com/grawlixpodcast, or follow us on Twitter at grawlixpodcast. We're also everywhere. All the time. All at once.
Maybe she'll learn how to TARDIS without a TARDIS.
I wouldn't like that either.
Because-
That's something
because
that
we'll-
John Nathan Turner was trying to figure out.
We'll figure it out because you know why? Because the TARDIS is a woman and means time travel is magical vagina power. Bam. Everything's solved.